Hey, what's going on, guys? Tim Loy here with the Zero Hour. I'm joined by Justin Watson. We've got a skeleton crew here today. First off, apologies for missing last week. We are back in action this week with Macon Fight Night. So we want to get you guys an episode up and do a preview for this co-promotion. It goes down this Saturday night at Rush MMA in Macon, Georgia. We're working with NFC, David Oblis in the gang, as well as Conflict MMA. Andrew Stokes and Jared Williams joining our party. So this should be a lot of fun. Justin, we've got some fights to go over. I've got a masked man in the room with me, and it's a party. Let's see here. We got a few housekeeping items to get to real quick. First off, shout out to our sponsors at Action 24/7 Sportsbook. If you use the promo code ARIES at Action 247, you can get a 100% match bonus up to $800 on your initial deposit. So make sure you come go check them out at action247.com. And also, while you're at it, if you give us a like, give us a subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. You get notifications when we post new content. We started posting the fights from Aries 4 already, so a couple of those are up. More will be coming in the following days. If you follow us also at Aries Fights on Facebook, Aries Fight Series on Instagram. And let's get to talking about some Macon Fight Night. Justin, we've got our card here. We're going to run down it and kind of give our takes. We're got a lot of Georgia fighters on this one, so a lot of guys I'm not as familiar with, but I'm very excited to see them in action. And the matchmaker Jesse's done a great job on putting together some really nice fights. We've got two non-MMA fights we will get to first, and those one is a grappling match and one is a Muay Thai fight. So we've got a juniors grappling match to kick us off. This should be fun. These are a couple of young girls that are going to get out there and kick the show off. Kira Mitchell versus Charlotte Stoller. Kira Mitchell from Rush MMA in Macon, Georgia. The Rush MMA patriarch, if you will, Bubby Mitchell. She's taking on Charlotte Stoller out of Independent MMA and Fitness in Noonan, Georgia. And looking at our little fighter information list we get, Kira is 12 years old coming into this one, and Charlotte is Charlotte is 11 years old and trained by BJ McWhorter over at Independent MMA, where Bubby Mitchell, the father of Kira Mitchell, is her trainer. So that is our first bout, and then we'll follow that up with a Muay Thai fight. We have a pretty good one. Austin Mallory. This is heavyweights, by the way. Austin Mallory is going to be taking on Kevin Archer, and this is actually a super heavyweight, I believe, and over 265 pounds. Austin Mallory comes in with a record of 0-1. He made his debut back in January at NFC and lost the decision in that one. So he's making a pretty quick turnaround. Trains out of Jackson, Georgia with Go for Broke HQ. He's taking on the debuting Kevin Archer. Now, Archer is a debut in Muay Thai out of Guyton, Georgia, but he does have MMA experience. Kevin Archer 3-1 in MMA, but he hasn't competed since 2016. So we're coming up really close to 6 years since he's competed. Kind of got opposite ends of the spectrum here as far as age goes. 37 years old, Kevin Archer, 21 years old for Austin Mallory, who is the local there. He goes to college there in Macon. He goes to Mercer University. And he has trained just a little over a year and a half, former football, basketball, track athlete in high school. So this one, these first two should be interesting. Justin, any takes on these opening two?
Oh man, the first one's going to be killer. I never seen either one of these girls, but both of them at 11 and 12 years old, coming from solid gyms. That's a hell of a way to kick off a show. They're going to be going for it the whole time. And then super heavyweight kickboxing right after, Thai fight. That should be fun. Austin Mallory, like you said, he's got one fight. He went to a decision, so we know he's going to at least have the cardio to push it a little bit. So that would be a fun one to watch. Super heavyweights are always going to, you have to always be on the lookout for big knockouts there.
Yeah, I think we'll get some good heavy leather being thrown there in that second bout. Moving on to the MMA portion of the card now, we'll cover the next two fights. These are going to be, I guess, just what they call just standard amateur rules. In Georgia, it's a little bit different. Until you have 3 fights, you can't ground and pound to the head. I think they have to wear shin guards, so it's a little bit different what we're used to up here in Tennessee. So these next 2 fights will be under those rules, as these fighters don't have their required 3 fights yet. We've got a middleweight bout, 185 pounds. Emery Searles, representing the home team, Rush MMA, there in Macon. He's making his debut in this one. He's taking on Chauncey Perry, 0-2 out of X3 Sports in Atlanta. And we've seen several X3 Sports guys fight over the years, I'm sure, as you know. Let's see here. Let's get some information on some of these guys. Chauncey the Soldier Perry, 25 years old, 6'3". He's a big guy, training out of X3 Sports North Marietta under Johnny Dunn. And he's also a former military guy. He's currently in the U.S. Army National Guard. He's had a tour of Afghanistan already. And fun fact, it says here he has 9 fingers. That's his fun fact. So that's interesting for sure. He won gold at Naga last October, first place also in a black eye sparring tournament at heavyweight for kickboxing. So that's Chauncey Perry. 2 fights under his belt already. Hasn't gotten on the winning side yet, but he's shown some cardio. Went to decisions in both of those fights, so that's always good. And Emery Searles, I don't know much about Emery. I don't have his information sheet in front of me. We know he's the hometown guy, trained by Bubby Mitchell there at Rush MMA. The next amateur fight on the card. Now, this one should be a lot of fun. I'm excited for this one. This one is a 170-pound bout, welterweights. 2 1-0 guys going at it, putting their O on the line. Quintavious Marshall takes on Adrian Hayes. Quintavious Marshall out of Milledgeville Martial Arts, Milledgeville, Georgia, comes in at 1-0. And AC Decatur in Decatur, Georgia. So both these guys looks like they're grapplers by trade. No, Quintavious Marshall's a heck of a grappler. He came up and won our first Hyder Cup that we did and knocked off some really good competition. He's a stud on the ground. Be interested to see him in MMA gloves. Something that I'm very excited to see. As I said, he's very accomplished grappler. Quintavious is 26'10", and he is he's black belt, I believe. Quintavious black belt, and then of course his opponent here, Adrian Hayes, 1-0. He is coming off of a submission win. So both these guys like to grapple. I think that sometimes when we get those kind of fights, we end up getting a striking battle. So I'm curious to hear your take on this one.
Yeah, so starting out with Chauncey Perry and Emery Sellers, obviously not much on Emery. Chauncey, I saw some of his footage, and to be 0-2, I think he's a lot better than his record says. The fight that I saw, he went to a decision with a guy who was pushing a lot of pressure on him, but he looked very skilled, very technical on the feet. So that should be a fun fight. Quintavious Marshall is a monster, man. I mean, I was there for that Hyder Cup, and like you said, for an 0-1 amateur, I mean, he beat guys that are, pretty high up their pros to win it. So he's going to be dangerous there. And Adrian Hayes, obviously, not unfamiliar with the ground either. So that should be fun. Like you said, no punches to the head on the ground on this one. So that'll make it a little more interesting for the submission game. Obviously, it's a lot easier to grab stuff when you're not getting hit in the mouth.
That brings us to our I guess what you would call our main card. Advanced amateur rules on these next 2. We'll take these on some of these guys. We've got 135 pounds bantamweight bout up next. Again, this is advanced amateur, so they can ground pound to the head. I believe they can lose the shin guards as well. Joel Winters takes on Brendan Chapman in this one. Joel Winters, 3-2 with 1 draw out of ATT Lima in Atlanta, Georgia. You've seen several times up this way. And he's taken on Brendan 2-2-1 out of upstate Karate, Central Carolina, under Coach Ray Thompson. So he's going to come prepared. Brendan, the courageous Chapman. That's his nickname. 29 years old, 5'10", and again out of Upstate Karate, Pitch Black MMA, coached by Ray Thompson, and he'll have a Weston Wilson out here with him, helping corner. He is coming off of a TKO win back November the 13th. Has been doing karate, kickboxing since the age of 15, and then at the age of 24, he transitioned to MMA. And on Joel Chino Winters, 29. Some decent experience for Winters, only being years old, already been in there 6 times. 5'9", out of Atlanta, like we said, trains under Jucao there at ATT Lima, and he is a regional Greco-Roman wrestling champ. He has recently also been down to train with some big names: Kamaru Usman, Adolfo Vieira, Philip Rowe, Davi Hamos, some pretty big names that Winters has gotten to train with here as of late. And he's one of these guys that he's young, so he's been training MMA since he in elementary school. Well, now they've been, they just started in MMA versus kickboxing, what have you. So Winters is a guy that we cage as well. Very confident guy. We've seen him actually call out Brim Sullivan in our cage. So we'll see whatever comes of that. And actually, plans are to talk with Church a little bit later this evening. We'll get a interview with him up on the site here, so make sure you check that out. What is your take on this one, Justin?
It's going to be interesting, man. This is going to be a similar fight to the one that Winters was calling for. Brendan Chapman is a very technical striker, very Wonder Boy-esque type style. So it's going to be, I believe it'll be a clash of styles, with Joel Winters shooting for takedowns and Brandon Chapman trying to take his head off. We'll see whose game is imposed in that one, but I think it's going to be a hell of a fight, though.
Up next, the amateur main event. Jesse Wobble's gone on the record, said this is the best amateur fight he's ever made. That's quite the accolades. A lot of big fights gone down at NFC. So for him to say this is the best one he's made, very impressive indeed. This one will be for the NFC Bantamweight Georgia title. And the defending champion is Malcolm Wellmaker, and he is going to be defending on this one against Earl McKinney. 2 very, very, very solid prospects. Malcolm Wellmaker comes in with a record of 8-1, representing Faglier's Martial Arts in Augusta, Georgia. And he's the defending champion there for NFC. Earl McKinney out of Strike Center, Kennesaw, Georgia. And he comes in and undefeated. Is Earl, so this one, on paper, to me, looks like a lot of people are excited for this one, and rightfully so. Earl McKinney, we'll talk about him a little bit first. He's 23 years old, 5'9", Augusta, Georgia, Striker Fight Center under Frank Mariska, and also trains with Jason Wolf over there. He wrestled in high school, and he started as a sophomore, and by senior year, state sectional qualifier, went on to receive a wrestling scholarship to attend Algoma University in Canada. And as a freshman, number 4 in Canada in his weight class, and that's his background. McKinney definitely got that wrestling in his back pocket there, coming in 4-0. Malcolm Wellmaker, 27 years old, 5'9". You would think he's coming to the end of his amateur career, most likely. He's out of Faglier's Kimpo Karate there under Jason Faglier, and he's a guy. He's got lots of titles, man. He's got 3 titles in South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida across 2 different weight classes between flyweight and bantamweight. He started training in 2005 years, and actually it says here this is his final aim before going pro. So I'm definitely excited for this one. Wellmaker got a lot of good wins on his record, coming off a win over Max Quinones at Conflict, where if I'm not mistaken, he won their title. Yeah, that was in November. So he's got the Conflict title as well. Quinones was 8-2 coming into that one. Some notable wins over Josh Kozer, Kiara Will Span. Those are all pretty solid amateurs. So he's going to get a real good test here out of Earl McKinney, I think. think. And I'm stoked for this one. You're Jake.
Yeah, this could be a striker's delight. The wrestling of McKinney could play a big factor, though. I'm not sure what Wellmaker's got on the ground. I've seen him in most of the fights that I was able to find. These guys are both just striking in most of it, but with McKinney having that background, I guess he's always got that in his back pocket. But both these guys got a lot of power. They push forward. They're not afraid to get into a firefight. This is gonna be a fun fight. Is it 5 rounds?
I believe it is 5 rounds.
Yeah, so this is gonna be a hell of a fight. I don't think it'll go 5 rounds probably, but if it does, it'll be 5 rounds of just nasty action the whole time.
Let's move on to the pros. Our feature bout of the evening, 170-pound pro contest. Now this was supposed to be a pro Muay Thai fight, actually, as Warren Smith's opponent initially, I think he got sick, and Josh Millwood is who he's going to pull out. So, and now it's an MMA fight because Greg ain't doing no kickboxing. Battle now. Greg Hopkins representing a Gogi combative, Chattanooga, Tennessee, guy we're very familiar with, 5-1 coming to this one. Hasn't fought since his last time out against Nick Martino, where he suffered a knee injury. So that'll be kind of the question here is, is Greg at 100%? Is he, is he got some rust potentially from being out of action now for going on 9 months? And he's taking on a guy that stays very busy, and Warren Smith. Striker Fight Center, Kennesaw, Georgia, his teammate we just spoke about, Brendan Chapman. Warren comes in with 20 pro fights, 7-13. Last time out, we saw him against Charlie Alexander, and so now he'll fight Greg at 170. That fight was at a lower weight at 1, and Warren missed weight on that one. And so now this is an interesting striker versus wrestler right here. Every bit of it. Although Greg's been known to throw them things too. Your take?
I feel like they have a very I feel like they have a very similar style. As far as Greg likes that big overhand right into the wrestling transitions, and Warren Smith looks like he just comes and throws bombs and got some leg kicks here and there, but he was outclassed in the wrestling in his last fight. I think Greg will probably have a big advantage there. This is gonna be a fun one, though. I think these guys are both gonna be out there swinging. I don't even know that it'll necessarily hit the mat while anybody's awake.
Yeah, I think we'll get some fireworks out of that one. Definitely going to get some fireworks out of the next one. Co-main event of the evening. We got 2 in a row here with some 0-hour hosts in action. Torres Finney, the Punisher. Torres Finney makes his professional debut, man. We've been waiting on this for a while. Middleweight action here. He's going to be taking on a tough debut in Wesley McCracken out of Upstate Karate, Simpsonville, South Carolina. He is teammates with Brendan Chapman, who we spoke about earlier. I guess I misspoke earlier. I said that McKinney. I said that Warren Smith was teammates with him. He's not. He's teammates with anyway. Wesley McCracken. And with a very deceptive record of 1-3. He's coming off of his win, though. In Chattanooga, actually hit a big head kick knockout over Jordan Seifzer, and that was very impressive. These guys that are coming out of Upstate Karate, they're going to be able to strike. Now, he's a transplant, originally out of American Kickboxing Academy, AKA, for his first 3 fights out west. So he came out here to improve on his striking, and he showed off some really nice striking when we saw him last with that big head kick knockout. He's 29 years old, 6 foot tall, and he's a military guy as well. Did 5 years military, 3 deployments in the Marine Corps before he decided to go to college. And so thank you to him for his service. 4-0 amateur, so he's got some back class in him, if you will, and. I'm really excited for this one, man. He is taking on Torres Finney, a guy who was our Aries champion, our first ever Aries champion, and now he has vacated that to go pro. And hey, you talk to him every week on here. He's pumped up, he's ready, and he's actually got a really awesome video he put out, kind of showing the story, if you will, from him just announcing that he's going to go pro. Or I'm sorry, from him announcing that he's going to do MMA, period, through his MMA fights, title fights, turning pro. Very excited for this one. I think this one will be a violent one. Torres, 23 years old, 5'7", originally from Macon, Georgia. He's going to have a gang of people at this show, man. Torres got him coming out to support. I've seen they're impressive. But originally from Macon, now in Chattanooga, Gogi combatives under Sterling Peace, Matt Harris, and Larry Scott and the gang. He is undefeated as an amateur as well, 5-0, and a multiple title holder, two-time Georgia State wrestling champion as well out of Jones County High School in Gray, Georgia. He's a blue belt in jiu-jitsu, and he played football and wrestled collegiately at the University of Tennessee, Chattanooga. Your thoughts?
Man, I think this is definitely going to be Torres' toughest fight to date. A lot of times you see guys go pro and they don't take the toughest fights that they can get right off the bat. Wesley McCracken at 1-3, coming out of what we know to be a great school in upstate karate with the Thompsons, and then from AKA where they're just chocked full of top-notch wrestlers. So I imagine he's going to be well versed in the wrestling. He's going to know how to defend a double leg, but Torres is elite. So it's going to be fun to see Torres get that push. I think it's going to be something that he hasn't gotten to experience yet as far as that goes. Wesley McCracken is a tough cookie, man, and it's going to be a fun fight.
Main event, featherweight action. This should be a lot of fun. This is a really, really solid fight as we have the hometown guy fighting out of Macon there for Quinton is going to be taking Mad Mike Wilson, a guy that we've seen up this way, very tough guy, representing independent MMA and fitness under Doug Usher and the gang. We'll talk about Culpepper first, 34 years old, 5'10". Again, out of Rush under Bubby Mitchell, and he's a BJJ black belt. He just got his black belt, I want to say, over the last year. His first degree coming this year. Also cross-trains with Cole Miller at Miller Martial Arts. Very well-rounded. All of his finishes, all of his, and he actually, who we'll see this weekend, and I would suggest you bet on Jonathan Pierce this weekend. That's a little Easter egg there for you. But he's also one of the instructors there at Rush. So excited to see Quinton Culpepper back in action. He's coming off a win just a couple months back. And, of course, taking on Mike Wilson, who is 35 years old, 5'11", out of Newton, Georgia, independent MMA and fitness, a 5-time NFC amateur champion. He defended his belt 4 times. That's the most in history of the NFC. He's an IBJJF gold medalist, just got his brown belt, I believe, as well. So 2 very skilled grapplers that are well-rounded and durable and hard to put away. Your take?
You're going to see some wild scrambles in this one, man. Quinton Culpepper, like you said, elite grappler. And Mike Wilson is a high-level grappler, but he's gritty, too. It's not just that he's got the technique, but he also just has that grit. He's never in a bad position. He can go anywhere from where he's at. This is going to be a tough fight, man. Mike Wilson's quite a bit older, I would say, right? How old
35.
35. So not that much.
No.
Yeah, this is going to be fun, though, man. About equal experience as pros. This is a big fight.
Definitely excited for that one. And that's our breakdown, guys. It's going down this weekend in Macon. You can catch the pay-per-view at spectationsports.com. And yours truly is going to be on the commentary table this weekend. So you'll get to hear my take on it for live for the first time in a while. I'm looking forward to that. And of course, not really, I'm not, but we'll have a good time with it anyway. What's your take? What's your fight of the night, man? What's your pick for fight of the night? What's going to be the one to really wow the crowd?
Man, just from what I've seen in the footage, I think Malcolm Wellmaker and Earl McKinney is probably going to be fight of the night. Those boys are coming to scrap. But the main event is going to be a wild back and forth too, I believe. So both those fights are going to be. I think those are going to come down to the wire.
Make sure you tune in this Saturday at Spectation Sports. Catch all the action. We'll recap it next week. Make sure you when we put content up, more fights. Got a Joel Winters interview coming up here a little bit later this evening. Till next time, we appreciate you guys hanging out with us. A little short mini edition, get y'all in and out. We'll be back with probably a full hour next week as we're getting ready to come to March 4th. Aries 5 coming up at the world famous Cotton Eye Joe. A lot of to get into for that one. So we'll start ramping it up with material for March 4th next week. For Justin Watson, I'm your host, Tim Lloyd. Thank you for hanging out with us once again on the 0 Hour. We'll see y'all next time. Thank you.